were not parallel. They were touching each other. So let's see what that means. So yes, we have an interaction, but we need to interpret it. So step 5, let's interpret the interaction. Let's recall the question of an interaction. Does the effect of IV1 on DV depend on IV2? Plugging in our variables, we can ask, does the effect of hours of TV on social awareness depend on type of program watched? There was an interaction because of the non-parallel line, so we can say yes, the effect of hours of TV on social awareness depends on the type of program watched, but we need to interpret that a little bit further. So here's our graph. This is a cleaner version that I made before starting this lecture. Let me get my laser pointer out. So we have 1 hour, 5 hours, PBS, reality, social awareness. We can see at 1 hour, the two lines are the same. So at 1 hour, looking up, these two lines are at 50. This means that at 1 hour of TV, the effect of hours of TV on social awareness does not depend on the type of program. So at 1 hour, no matter what program you're watching, social awareness is 50. So it doesn't matter. The effect of hours of TV on social awareness is the same at 1 hour. It does not matter what you have on TV because they're both 50. But if we look at 5 hours, those two lines are very different. At 5 hours, PBS's social awareness is 90, and reality social awareness is 10. So at 5 hours, the two lines are different. This means that at 5 hours of TV, the effect of hours of TV on social awareness does depend on the type of program. The result is different depending on the program. So at 5 hours, you can't say that the effect is the same like you can at 1 hour. The effect of social awareness really depends on what program you're watching. That's where the interaction comes in. So, if someone asked, does the hours of TV someone watches affect their social awareness? How you would answer that is, well, it depends. There's our interaction. It depends on the type of program watched. At 1 hour, the type of program does not matter, but at 5 hours, the type of program matters. So a simple question of, does the hours of TV someone watches affect their social awareness? The answer is not yes or no. The answer is it depends on what they're watching. Alternatively, you could ask, does the type of program someone watches affect their social awareness? Same answer, just a different way to say it. You'd say, well, it depends on how many hours of TV you watch. At 1 hour, there's no difference in social awareness. But at 5 hours, the amount of hours matters. So does the type of program someone watches affect their social awareness? Well, it depends for how long they're watching it. At 1 hour, you can watch PBS or reality TV and your social awareness is the same. But at 5 hours, if you watch PBS, it's way higher than it is if you watch reality. Whew. Interactions are tough, but that's an example of one. So we'll go on to another example now. This is example 2. Food taste, serving size, and satisfaction with the dining hall. Let me read it and then we will go through it. A researcher is interested in the effects of food taste and serving size on diners' satisfaction with residence hall meals. Participants took part in a simulated dining hall experiment. The experiment had a 2, food taste, tasty and mediocre, by 3, serving size, small, medium, large, between subjects' factorial design. The dependent variable is operationally defined as a satisfaction rating on a 10-point scale, where 10 indicates high satisfaction and 1 indicates low satisfaction. So let's go through our steps again. There we go. I don't know why those animations are wrong. So type of design. We have a 2 by 3. 2 by 3 means we still have 2 independent variables because we have 1 and 2. 2 because tasty and mediocre. By 3 because we have 3 possible serving sizes, small, medium, and large. Possible effects. Again, there's always a possible main effect of each independent variable. So main effect of taste, main effect of serving size, and interaction of taste by serving size. I'm just going to take a drink real quick. So those are our possible effects. Again, you always need to describe the direction when describing an effect. In the last example, the type of program, or the hours, one of them had a main effect, type of program. And it was PBS has more social awareness than reality TV, I believe the example was. So you always need to describe the effect, the direction, is what I'm saying. So back to our steps. Here's our data, which is satisfaction on a 10-point scale. Again, we have our marginal means of flavor and then our marginal means of size. And these cells are what we'll be graphing. Tasty and small, tasty and medium, etc. Step 1, calculate the marginal means. We already have that done. So we see that tasty, regardless of size, has an average of a 6 on the rating scale, and mediocre, regardless of size, has an average rating of 4. And then we have 3, 5, and 7 for the size marginal means. Our second step is to graph. Again, reminders for graphing. You do not graph the marginal means. That's just a C for main effects. You graph the dependent variable. Again, this is not social awareness. Let me change that. This is satisfaction with the dining hall. And the dependent variable is represented on the y-axis. And one of the IVs goes on the x-axis, the other is represented by lines in the legend. I already graphed this one, so I don't have to take some time to do it for you. So we have tasty and mediocre represented by red and green. Satisfaction on a 10-point scale, small, medium, and large. So how we graph this is if we look at, let's graph tasty first, so that's red. Tasty and small was a 4, so that was my 4 right there. Tasty and medium was a 6, here's the 6. Tasty and large was an 8, which is here. We connect it by a straight line. And then going on to mediocre, mediocre and small was a 2, here we are. Mediocre and medium was a 4. Mediocre and large was a 6, here. And we connect them by a line. So here's our two graphs, or here's our graph with 2 lines. Step 3, using the graph and the marginal means, answer if there are main effects. Firstly, is there a main effect of serving size? In other words, regardless of flavor, does the serving size affect satisfaction? To answer this using marginal means, which is the easiest way to do it in my opinion, look at the marginal means of serving size and determine if they're different. Serving size, here's the marginal means, 3, 5, 7. Those seem different to me. Using the graph, is the average of small different from the average of medium, different from the average of large? So, small, if you want to average that out, would be between these two. So right there, which is 3, so we can tell from the marginal means. Medium would be right there, which is 5, and then 7, again from the marginal means. But yes, those are all different, so it does seem like there's a main effect of serving size. Then we have to ask if there's a main effect of flavor. In other words, regardless of serving size, does the flavor affect satisfaction? So we can answer this using marginal means and the graph. So let's go back. We're looking at flavor. The marginal means of flavor are 6 versus 4. Those seem pretty different to me. And then if we look at their averages, the average of this tasty line would be right in the center, which is a 6, and then mediocre, right in the center, which is a 4. Again, those look very different to me. So we do have a main effect of serving size as well. Or flavor, sorry, that's flavor. Fourth step, using the graph and the marginal means, answer if there's an interaction. Like we said previously, an interaction means that one variable's effect on the dependent variable depends on another variable. If the lines are not parallel, you have an interaction. However, from the looks of our graph, we do not have an interaction. Because look, our lines are parallel. I know it's kind of hard to tell with my bad drawing, but these lines are parallel. They're not going to touch. That means we do not have an interaction. So what does that mean, that we don't have an interaction? Fifth step, interpret it. Does the effect of IV1 on dependent variable depend on IV2? Filling in the blanks. Does the effect of flavor on satisfaction depend on serving size? We don't have an interaction, so the answer is no. The effect of flavor on satisfaction does not depend on serving size. This is not necessary if you don't have an interaction, but I'm just trying to break down what it means that we don't have an interaction and how you can tell. So we see at any serving size, at small, medium, and large, tasty is always higher than mediocre. So the red line is always higher than the green line, no matter the serving size. So that means that the effect of flavor on satisfaction doesn't depend on the serving size. Tasty is always higher. Alternatively, at any flavor, small is always lower than medium, which is always lower than large. So there's never a time where small is bigger, has a greater satisfaction than medium or large, or medium has a bigger satisfaction than large, or large has a smaller satisfaction than small or medium. It always is going upwards on both lines, tasty and mediocre. That means that the effect of serving size and satisfaction does not depend on flavor. The relationship is always small, then medium, then large. So these two variables, serving size and flavor, they don't depend on one another.